My name is Matthew Willoughby, and I am a dual teacher for CCPS and instructor for Carroll Community College. This module is based on the Harvard College Writing Center Strategies for Essay Writing Resources. I will be covering the material found on the Developing a Thesis page. I encourage you to visit the site yourself, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. English 101 assignments will require you to, among other things, craft thesis statements that make a point or claim, construct valid arguments, write about a topic for a specific audience with a clear purpose, and organize ideas to foster clarity and coherence. All of these requirements come into play in some way or another with developing an effective thesis for your essay. In other words, the thesis is where you provide the clearest distillation of your claim, argument, or point of view. Think of writing your thesis like a lawyer's opening argument in a case. You need to provide the jury, your readers, with your central claim and a roadmap of the support you will be using. An effective thesis needs to be more complex than answering a yes or no question. It is an actual position on an argument that requires complex thought and evidence to support. A thesis needs to be more than a topic or a fact, and it cannot be just a statement of your opinion. The second paragraph on the Harvard College Writing Center's page contains several examples to help you see the difference between fact, opinion, topic, and thesis. A well-written thesis will have two key components. First, it needs to clearly state the argument you are making. Then, it should telegraph how you plan to make that argument. It should provide a roadmap of the support you will use in the essay and how that support will be organized. There are 4 steps to writing an effective thesis statement. First, you need to analyze your primary sources. Read through your support to find tension, interest, ambiguity, and/or complication. Discover deeper meanings or inconsistencies that will help you craft a working thesis. You want to avoid surface-level observations. This is also true of personal essays, narratives, and other types of writing that are not based on a reading, but are based on your experiences. Once you have a working thesis, write it down. Make sure that you capture the ideas that come to mind for your thesis before they have a chance to slip away. Writing down your thesis also forces you to consider it clearly, logically, and concisely. Remember, this does not need to be the final version of your thesis. Third, keep your thesis prominent in your introduction. Most of the time, your thesis will appear as the last sentence of your introductory paragraph, particularly in shorter essays. Lastly, anticipate the counter-arguments. Once you have a working thesis, you should think about what might be said against it. Remember, every argument has a counter-argument, and if yours doesn't, then you are most likely stating a fact or voicing an opinion and need to rewrite your thesis. Let's take a moment to look at a couple of example thesis statements. Now, the first example thesis statement reads, Michael Dukakis lost the 1988 presidential election because he failed to campaign vigorously after the Democratic National Convention. As you can see, this statement oversimplifies the argument to the point that it can be easily refuted. It only gives one reason for Dukakis' loss when there could be multiple equally or more valid reasons. The second example corrects for this mistake by including a caveat to address the main counterargument. While Dukakis' soft-on-crime image hurt his chances in the 1988 election, his failure to campaign vigorously after the Democratic National Convention bore a greater responsibility for his defeat. Notice the second thesis says, bore a greater responsibility. That shows the author is making an argument that can be debated, and you know the author will have to defend this position with their support and reasoning, but it does not make a claim that can be easily refuted. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the caveats and do's and don'ts that Harvard College Writing Center provides. First, a thesis is never a question. While a question may engage readers, it does not provide an argument for you to prove. 2, a thesis is never a list. You do want to include a sense of the support you will use, but listing comes close to stating facts. It doesn't allow for tension or a sense of argument. Number 3, a thesis should never be vague, combative, or confrontational. If you are alienating your audience right from the thesis, they may stop reading. This also can come close to or cross the line of giving opinions. Number 4, an effective thesis has a definable, arguable claim. Make sure you have an argument, that you telegraph what the essay will cover, and that you create a clear understanding of what it is you are trying to prove. And number 5, a thesis should be as clear and specific as possible. Avoid general claims, abstractions, hyperbolic exaggerations, and cliches. Make sure your word choice is precise so that the reader can understand your argument. In closing, remember to present a clear, concise, specific argument that can be defended by your evidence. Make sure that you avoid facts, opinions, questions, and lists. If your thesis is not presenting something that can be argued against, it is not an argument. A strong thesis will be appropriate for your audience to engage them, demonstrate the purpose you are trying to achieve, and provide both you and your readers with a sense of organization and structure, making it easier for you to build your case for them.